Well, the Burbs somehow has become this remarkable cult item that is watched the world over by people who know the dialogue and have seen it many, many times and have parties at their houses, and everybody sits and watches the Burbs. It's a surprise to me only because the critical reception of the Burbs was something akin to they hated it. I mean, it got one good review, and all the rest of the reviews were really bad. And nonetheless, it was a popular movie. But I didn't realize until later when I would go to the dentist's office or the doctor's office, and the receptionist would say, "Oh, you made the Burbs? I love the Burbs." And it apparently has become something of a cultural touchstone. And I was recently at these various festivals, and and signings. Sometimes you go to conventions where you sign things, and more people asked me about the Burbs than any other movie that I'd ever done, which I find somewhat remarkable, but it sort of proves my point, which is that you should never pay too much attention to what is said about a movie at the time of its release, because there are so many factors that contribute to how people respond to a movie that are very ephemeral and have nothing to do with the long term. And so I think you can't really judge the worth of a movie until some years have gone by, and it sort of fades into posterity. And a lot of movies that we really think are great movies now and are studied were movies that were not popular and did not have critical success or box office success. But we don't remember that part of it. We just remember that we like the movies. So I think all filmmakers are grateful for the fact that audiences constantly rediscover movies. I mean, many of the movies that I made were not successful theatrically, but they were tremendously successful on VHS. In fact, VHS alone is responsible probably for the careers of half the people that I know who found new audiences that never saw the pictures when they were new. And so that's sort of one of the reasons that I do the Trailers from Hell site, is to try to get people more connected with movies from the past that they may not have seen or that they've overlooked, and that are still very relevant and still, very interesting and exciting. And there are more movies available to see now than there ever were in the history of movies, because of streaming and Netflix and all these discoveries of people in vaults of movies that haven't seen the light of day in 70 years. But you have to know what they are. You have to know where to look. You have to have somebody curate them for you and say, this is a good one. You should see this one. And so that's what we try to do on the site. We have filmmakers who try to point people toward movies that meant something to them or influenced their lives in some way. And it's been very successful. And the best thing that can happen to me is somebody comes up to me and says, I saw this movie that I had never heard of until I looked at your website, and I really liked it. And that's sort of that's why we're doing it.